You thought you could marry my son, but you're not right for him. Our standards are different. Don't even think about joining our family." That's how meanly my father-in-law spoke to me, and my mother-in-law joined in too. They said I'd only approach Alex for money. "My name is Kate. I'm 34, and I work for a company. I've been there since I finished university, while others left to start businesses, get married, or have kids. I stayed and worked hard every day. You might think I'm a lonely workaholic woman, but I'm not lonely because I have a boyfriend named Alex. He used to be my business partner, and I always saw him as a dedicated young man. After working together several times, we started to like each other, and he confessed his feelings for me. We've been dating for a few years now, and we're even engaged. But if you ask me if I'm worried about marrying him, I have to admit there are some concerns. He's younger than me, and I wonder if he'll be okay with me being older. Even though he says age doesn't matter, I still worry. Also, his father owns a business, and Alex works for him. Eventually, Alex will take over the company and become its president. I'm afraid his parents might not approve of our marriage. I've been anxious about it for a long time. Of course, I was thrilled when he asked me to marry him, but I wonder if we can really get married." However, Alex didn't seem to mind at all. His optimism was one of the things I found attractive about him. He had already met my parents, and we often had nice dinners together. My parents had already agreed that we were getting married, and they liked Alex very much. Finally, the day came to visit Alex's parents. For weeks, I had been so nervous about it. Their house was spectacular, just as I expected from where the president of the company lives. It was so grand that I felt like I was in a royal palace or something. Instantly, I started worrying if my clothes were suitable for this place. I had prepared some nice clothes for the occasion, but I wasn't sure if they were good enough. I come from a modest family, so it would be quite different compared to Alex's house. Alex often treated me to nice meals at fancy restaurants, and when we went on vacation, he would always book expensive hotel rooms. He thought those things were completely normal, but sometimes I felt like he lived in a different world from me. Even so, he never imposed his values on me, and he never bragged about being rich. I don't judge people by their money. I fell in love with you because of your personality and inner beauty. At first, I wondered why he was dating an older, attractive woman like me, but his sweet words made me believe that he genuinely liked me for who I am. In other words, because we love each other deeply, Alex and I are getting married. I think I've met a truly wonderful man, so I want his parents to approve of our marriage. Don't worry, babe. I've already told my parents about you. He tried to encourage me. Then the front door opened, and his mother welcomed us. "Welcome, you must be Kate." "Yes, I'm Kate. Nice to meet you," I replied. His mother gave me a quick nod and let us in. Inside, there was a huge living room, and Alex's father was waiting for us, sitting on a big, luxurious, fluffy sofa. I felt nervous all at once. Of course, I was nervous when I met his mother, but his father was even more intimidating, as you would expect from the president of a company. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you, Kate. Thank you for coming today," I said, my voice trembling. Alex looked at me and smiled. "Don't be so nervous." But his parents weren't smiling at all. They were staring at me with very cold eyes. I could feel my spine stiffen. "Please sit down," his father said, motioning to the sofa. It felt like a job interview. "Well, no, excuse me," his father interjected the moment I sat down. His mother followed suit. "Hey, Mom, Dad, what are you guys doing?" "What do you mean? No, it's rude to say such a thing," Alex interjected, trying to defend me, but his parents didn't seem to listen. "How old are you anyway? You look pretty old to me," his mother remarked. "I'm 34, I replied, feeling the weight of their judgment. Lord, she's 6 years older than Alex. How can we accept Alex marrying an older woman like you? His mother continued. And besides, it's already too late for you to have children, isn't it? We need someone who can give us grandchildren. As for me, I think it has to be a young woman, at least younger than Alex, his mother added. I knew they would mention my age. And you're still single at your age. I can't help but think you have some kind of problem. Maybe you're too difficult or have a bad personality. Something like that. His mother's sharp question exploded. Mom, what are you talking about? Kate is a wonderful person with a great personality. Alex interjected again. Then why hasn't she married before? His mother's sharp question cut through the tension. Excuse me. I know I'm a little older to be married, but I love my job, and I wanted to work harder. I've always prioritized my work over marriage. That's why I didn't get married until I reached this age. It wasn't until I met Alex that I realized I wanted to get married. Tried my best to explain, feeling almost overwhelmed by the pressure from his parents. My words, but his parents' attitude didn't change at all. Wouldn't working harder be better? It's not like the company you work for is a big one. Even if you work hard and get promoted, you don't get paid much, do you? I think you should focus more on making yourself more attractive as a woman. You know, it would be nice if you got. Yes, even at your age, you can still look a little better. Maybe some plastic surgery would help, his mother suggested, her words cutting through me. Honey, that's too straightforward, his father chuckled, and for the first time, I saw them laugh, but it was at our expense. I was so shocked and angry. I didn't know what to say. You thought you could marry my son. Your standard doesn't match ours. Don't you dare dream of joining us? Anyway, the point is, you were not the right person for my son. Now, leave. His father-in-law spoke to me coldly. My mother-in-law chimed in. You would have approached Alex for money anyway. I don't know how you fooled my son, but you can't fool us too. That's enough. You guys can say whatever the hell you want, but it's my life. I'm gonna decide who I'm marrying. Alex tried to defend me, but I stopped him. I see. I understand how you feel, but it's quite impolite of you to say such horrible things to me, despite the fact that we just met. I don't care if you're richer or not. It's not important to me. But if I were to become rich, I definitely do not want to be like you, I said firmly as I stood up. We don't need to have any more conversations, I declared, heading towards the door to leave his parents' house. You've got to be kidding me. Don't you dare insult us, you beggar. We will never allow you to marry my son. I don't want to be related to people like you anyway. His father spat back at me angrily. You're such a disgraceful person. I'd like to see the face of the parents who've raised a woman like you. His father continued to berate me, but I ignored him and left their house. Their attitude was just too much. I walked outside in frustration, and then Alex came running up to me in a panic. Kate, I'm sorry. I never thought my parents would say something like that. I mean, it was a horrible thing to say, but maybe it's a good thing. It would have been a lot more pressure if we got married in that situation. Anyway, I'm leaving them. I'm not taking over Dad's company, and I'm quitting that company too, Alex confessed hurriedly. You shouldn't make such a decision in a rush, I cautioned him. I'm not. I really do love you, Kate. We didn't get together for money, so there should be no problem if I leave the house, Alex reassured me. Well, that's true, but I started to say, but he interrupted me. Let's go to your parents' house and tell them about this, he suggested, pulling my hand and starting to walk. My parents were surprised at our sudden visit, but they welcomed us warmly. While having tea, we told my parents about what happened. My father listened to us without saying a word. Alex, your father's company is called Space C, right? And your father's name is Patrick Smith? My father inquired. Yes, but why? That's what I thought. I see. Why don't we go with you to your parents' house now? My father suggested. Dad, what's going on? I asked, confused. Because they said they wanted to see her face, right? Let's go show them a face, then, shall we? My father replied, surprising me. My father isn't the type to provoke or anything like that, so I was surprised, but he seemed ready to go, so we had no choice. We ended up going to his parents' house again. This time, Alex's father answered the door, not the mother. You again. I will forgive you no matter how many times you come back. Whose daughter do you think you were talking to, Patrick? Alex's father snapped, glaring at my father. It took him a few seconds to finally recognize something. Mr. Anderson, is that you? You finally remembered. Your daughter? That means her father is you. That's right. She's my only daughter. We had her later in our marriage. By the way, how dare you insult my precious daughter? Have you forgotten what I told you back then? For 3 years, no less. You see, when you were arrested for smoking and drinking, or even caught shoplifting, I covered for you and gave you your chance to become a better person, didn't I? I did all that I could do so that you could get a decent job. Didn't I teach you that no one can live alone and we all support each other? And yet, as soon as your company is successful, you forget all that, haven't you? My father scolded. I apologize for that. Alex's father replied, now seeming fragile, a complete change from what he was before. If you were to be the president of a company, you need to treat people with compassion. You think you're better than others because you were successful. Aren't you looking down on people when you shouldn't? My father continued. Well, that's... Alex's father seemed to struggle with his response. In that case, my boss always says his stomach hurts from stress, Dad. Are you harassing him? Alex interjected. What are you talking about? I'm just giving him a hard time because I expect better of him, Alex's father replied, starting to come unraveled. Just when I thought you'd finally come to your senses, you're back to your old self. You're a real pain in the ass. You know that, Patrick. My father criticized. First of all, I want you to apologize to my daughter before insulting her. Yes, I am sorry, Kate. Alex's father apologized, bowing his head to me, as accused by my father. It seems that the master-slave relationship ingrained in our bodies when we were students is a relationship that is difficult to change. Honey, you should apologize to her as well, Alex's mother added, bowing her head too. I was relieved that his parents apologized to me. Hey, I'm leaving this house, and I'm leaving the company too, Alex announced, and at that point, his parents were in a panic. Wait a minute. If you leave, who's going to take over? Your father's right. You're the only one we have left. His parents pleaded. I'm sick of you controlling me over everything. I'm going to start my own company and see how far I can go on my own. And I'll marry Kate as I promised. Thanks for everything, Alex said firmly, bowing his head to say goodbye to his parents. They were frozen, their faces turning completely pale, but we left them behind anyway. My father had been a high school teacher until his retirement. Had no idea that Alex's father was one of his students. I looked up the company Alex works for on their website, and Patrick's picture came up. At first, I was happy to see that a student of mine had achieved something great, but you can be sublimed by money, forgetting what's important. My father was a very dedicated teacher, and he was always strict about such things. After a while, Alex really quit his job and started his own business. I supported him as I continued working. Alex seemed to be talented being a business owner, and his company was making a profit at an early stage. And of course, we married and became husband and wife. We live with joy every day, supporting each other. As for my father-in-law, he was sued by some of his subordinates for power harassment. Since that caused the stock price to drop, he was dismissed from his position as president. After all, no matter how well things are going, I realize that humbleness and compassion are absolutely necessary. I have a role model as my father, and I will cherish everything he taught and try to live my life with dignity.